Duke Eclipse presents the Horror Hideout Podcast, a podcast covering everything horror, including books, comics, and movies. Presented by Dawson Duke and Kayla Bullock.
Welcome back to Horror Hideout.
I have been waiting and waiting to do this episode.
You really liked Ashfall.
I did. So
And you can't read the sequels till after we do this episode,
right.
so...
we read Ashfall by Mike Mullin,
Yes.
published... I did know the year that it was published. 2010. Gosh, I didn't realize it was that old.
Yeah.
So published in 2010.
Yeah, we had a signed... It was like one of the boards that they hit at karate that breaks in half.
Yeah.
Signed one of those at the junior high that I went to whenever I was growing up. But he had come years before, so I never got to meet him. But I really have a soft spot in my heart for this book because I think this was the book that got me into like disaster books. And that's like one of my favorite genres now is like apocalypse and disaster kind of stuff.
Yeah. And so this is a fitting one to wrap up our disaster horror.
Yes. And it was different than all the movies.
Yes.
Because the movies we did, it was like kind of a new ice age is what I would call Day After Tomorrow.
Yes.
Tornadoes. And then the Geostorm was kind of just everything, which is kind of how Day After Tomorrow is, but I would say the big one in Day After Tomorrow is like the ice age.
Yeah, but Geostorms was more like focused on the space aspect.
Yeah,
of it,
yeah.
Which,
but I mean, we saw like hail and...
I know, but I honestly have to say, if I would have known it leaned more toward that, I probably wouldn't have said let's do that in the natural disaster part of the podcast. If you have not read Ashfall, we're gonna do probably lots of spoilers, and I will say that Dawson has read books 2 and 3. So if you start saying something that's not in the book, I'm gonna throw it at your head because I don't want to know what happens. I want to know what happens, but I don't want you to tell me what happens.
Reed dies at the end.
What?
Reed dies at the end.
Who?
That's the joke. That's a joke between me and my little sister about Criminal Minds.
Oh.
Because I got ahead of her where she was at, because she started watching it first, but I got ahead of where she was at. And I said, if you got to the episode where Reed dies yet, Reed does not die in that entire series.
Okay.
So it's just a joke.
Okay. Well, so the non-spoiler for Ashfall is the super volcano at Yellowstone erupts.
Yes.
And our main protagonist is Alex, and he is a 15-year-old when the book starts.
Yeah. And where's he at?
He is in Iowa.
And he's trying to get back to Illinois.
So him and his family live in Illinois, or they live in Iowa, and his uncle and his family live in Illinois. So the mom, the dad, and the sister have left Iowa to go visit uncle in Illinois.
And he stayed behind for a karate competition, is it?
No,
or something like that?
They just let him stay home on his own.
Okay. I thought it was for something, but...
No. So, yeah. So it's kind of his journey to try to get back to his family after the super volcano erupts.
And you said I like this a lot more than I like The Road.
Oh my gosh.
And it kind of is a similar story where he's traveling to get somewhere.
Yeah. But there's so much more action in this book than there was in The Road.
Yeah, but The Road is about atmosphere. It is the book version of Mad God.
But I feel like this book has a lot of atmosphere too, but there's actually things happening.
I agree, but I still think The Road is a masterpiece.
That just didn't do it for me, but we're going to have different opinions. I was bored with The Road, but I was not bored with Ashfall. So, that's pretty much all I'm going to say for non-spoilers.
Yeah.
So let's dig in.
Okay.
You don't remember what happens, do you?
I know parts.
So, we start out with Alex.
I will say, I've not read this since junior high, so I'm going off memory.
It's a long time to have not read it.
Yeah.
So, you can't talk like when we get close to the end. You can't talk too much. Then
I know. I know. I do want to talk about one thing.
That's in this book.
Yeah.
Okay.
That you told me I should talk about.
Okay. So, 15-year-old Alex, he's in his room. His parents have left. His younger sister's gone. We don't really get too much about their family before, like, it kind of just goes straight into the action. Like, they leave.
Which is more the kind of books I prefer.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't like when there's a whole bunch of exposition of getting to know who they are and then halfway through the book the disaster happens. Yeah. I like where it happens right at the beginning. But
you still need to know your characters in this one.
Yes, yeah.
It's done, so... he
Well, and H2O does a really good. That's another book that's like a kind of a YA like disaster book. But in that book, the rain starts like melting people
I haven't
essentially.
read that one yet either.
I know,
I haven't, but
and I'm
I'll
not
read
going to
it.
really spoil a whole bunch. But she is writing the book, and you know this from the beginning, like from the first chapter. She's writing the book in the future,
Gotcha.
and so she just hops straight into when it's all happening, and you get to know the characters from there. And that's how Ashfall is too.
Yeah. So, I can't remember what he's doing. I can't remember if he's just laying in bed. I can't remember what he's doing. But anyway,
I think he's laying in bed.
a big something falls through his roof, and they
Yeah.
never even say
What it is.
throughout the book. But in the back of the book, there's a section where the author talks about, like, you know, because the super volcanoes never
Yeah.
really exploded or erupted in a time where we would know how things happen.
Yeah.
And so he mentions that it's a rock from the volcano. But anyway, Alex doesn't know what's going on.
Which,
He actually ends up getting trapped between the wall and the desk.
yeah.
And so, again, this goes back to us finding out things about him as the story goes on. He's, I don't know if they ever say, but I think he's a black belt in Taekwondo.
Yes. And he uses like a bow staff as his thing, right?
His person does. His
But he has
his
one.
master. No.
He gets one
He
later.
doesn't have one. He goes to the dojo
And
and
gets
hers.
one. Yeah.
He does have nunchucks. He talks about those, but he uses
Okay.
are those Japanese? I'm not trying to be offensive. Is nunchucks Japanese or Chinese?
I think it'd be Japanese.
Okay. So he uses those, but he uses the Japanese proper word for him.
Yeah.
So he gets trapped between his desk and the wall, and we kind of get in his head a little bit about what's going to happen, how am I going to get out, and he finally is able to use the strength in his legs to get out.
Well, and I will say, one thing this book has going for it, I've read some books, like the Gone series by Michael Grant, where the characters don't always act like they're 15 years old.
Yeah.
They act like adults in kids' bodies.
Right.
And I think throughout this book, it does a good job of him acting like a 15-year-old kid.
Yeah. But I like that, which I know you're stating like that, but I like that because you can see his growth throughout.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, even you at your age, if something like this happened, you would grow throughout and change a little bit. I don't know if I would because I'm in my 40s and I'm old, but you would, you know, kind of grow and change a little bit as things went on. So I like that about this book. So he gets out and he can't really get anything out of his house. He can't get clothes. He just needs to get out because his house is on fire. And so he messes up his shoulder pushing the desk out of the way. So they talk about that a few times later on. But he gets out of the house and he tries his cell phone and there's no signal. And so he runs.
Is this when he ends up in the river? Or is that later?
No, that's later.
Okay.
You probably should have reread this. That's
I probably should have, yeah. I know.
I mean, we can record later.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
So he actually runs like 3 or 4 blocks to the fire station.
Yeah.
To tell them that his house is on fire. And they're like, well, we can't get through to dispatch to tell them where we're going. So all communication systems are down. There's no radio. There's no, you know. Well, as he's running to the fire station, he sees fires all over. Like, not necessarily in the area he's in, but like he can see different smoke spots around town. So when he gets back, he gets in the fire truck with the people, and they're like, you have to go to the hospital because of his shoulder. And he's like, no, I need to go home. And so when he gets home, his neighbors come over. I knew I was going to forget their names. Joe and Darren. Is it Joe and Darren?
No idea.
They're a couple. Joe
Did you find it?
and Darren.
Okay.
So Joe and Darren are the neighbors across the street. They're a couple. They come over and get Alex, and he's like, no, I have to go to Illinois. I have to find my family.
Yeah.
And they're like, your mom told us to look out for you, which I thought was kind of funny because one of the things he's thinking about before all this starts is, you know, I can't believe they left me home
Yeah,
alone by
yeah.
myself at 15 years old, and then the neighbors are like, well, she told us to check on you. um, so he's like, no, I have to get to Illinois. Well, then this noise starts, and I don't even really know how you would describe, like, the author does a good job, but to kind of
Yeah.
sum it up, I don't know how,
Yeah.
like, I picture kind of like a tornado alarm, but just the really high pitched, like not going soft and coming loud again, just like that high pitched, like
continuous.
Yeah, and it goes on for like 4 days, I think it was. So I just read this book, but it's not a short book, so and there's a lot of action in it.
Yeah.
And so he ends up staying with Darren and Joe that whole time. Do you want to talk for a few minutes? Because I'm yapping.
Well, I don't know. You're gonna have to kind of guide me. I remember certain parts.
So they finally, they have a radio. They're trying to get cell phone service. They're trying to get this radio to work, and they finally get just kind of a little bitty snippet on the radio, and it doesn't sound good. Like it kind of sounds like it's countrywide what's going on. So then, and one thing we didn't mention, which is stupid because it's the name of the book. It's called Ashfall because
there's ash in the atmosphere.
As this is going on, it's like snowing, but it's ash.
Yeah.
And so they can't go outside without something covering their mouth, and they can't, so...
And it's usually some kind of wet rag.
Yeah.
Because the wet keeps the ash from coming in.
Yeah. So, but it's also hot.
Yeah.
Well, that's not true. It's cold, because it gets colder as it goes on.
Yeah, but I think it's hot at first, or it's fairly warm and it starts to get colder. But
so,
it's like the same kind of thing that would happen if we had like nuclear fallout, where it would get thrown up in the air and it would block out the sun.
Yeah. And so then three guys, maybe three, end up breaking into Joe and Darren's house.
Yeah.
And they want supplies, and so they I think it's Darren ends up killing one of the guys.
Yeah.
Two of the guys. One of them gets shot, and then the other guy, I think he beats him to death. Because he's going after Joe.
Yeah.
Well, it scares Alex so bad, and here's another part where it's like a 15-year-old kid.
Yeah.
He just runs off.
Yeah.
He's like, nope, I'm done. I can't stay here anymore.
So is this when he goes to the dojo?
Yes.
So when he goes to the dojo, he's looking for water. And he can't, like, the water's not running anymore, right?
Well, he goes back home first.
Okay.
Because he gets his dad's skis.
Okay.
Because it's, so, if you picture, a fire pit with just your little thing of ash in it, ash is so fine that you're not going to be able to walk across
Yeah.
it. And we're talking like ash high enough that you can't open doors. I mean, so it's pretty thick. So he goes home.
Like 2 feet of ash.
So he goes home and goes into the garage to see if there's anything in there that he could use. And he finds his dad's skis, which work pretty well. So here he is skiing downtown. I think this would be the coolest movie if they did it right. This would be such a cool movie.
I wonder if that's ever been brought up.
I don't know. So then he goes to the dojo.
So when he goes to the dojo, he's trying to find water, and the water's not running anymore.
No.
So he ends up drinking water out of the tank of the girls' bathroom toilet, because there's no water in the boys' toilet, and he kind of feels awkward about going in the girls' bathroom and stuff, but he's kind of like, I have to do what I have to do.
Right.
And he drinks out of the tank, not the bowl.
And again, I think at this point he hasn't figured out that, like, he needs to keep his mouth covered.
Yeah.
Before he gets there, I think he figures it out when he's in there and he's like, I gotta, tie something, do something.
Because it's like having little daggers in your throat, almost, when you breathe the ash in.
Yeah. And it would just be so drying.
Yeah.
Just, ugh.
So this is when he gets, like, the bow staff.
Well, and we find out later on that it can cause, is it silicosis? Is that what they call it?
I'm not sure. Some kind of lung disease.
Yeah, from breathing in the ash.
Yeah.
But he takes the, what'd you just call it?
Bow staff.
The bow staff. And he, which I think this is cool too, he takes, because he's trying to figure out what he's going to do with it.
Yeah.
And so he replaces one of his ski poles with this.
Yeah.
So, and he ends up, he finds a backpack. No, he doesn't. Yes, he does. He finds a backpack. Sorry. He finds a backpack and packs up just a few little like clothing type things so he can cover his face. And again, he couldn't really go home, so he doesn't have extra clothes. He doesn't have.
He just has what's on him.
Right, and I mean, it's been 4 days that he was in Joe and Darren's house,
and even when he did go home, like into the garage and stuff, his room he could not get to.
Right, it was smushed. It was a 2-story house, and so it like completely smashed his room.
Yeah.
Plus all the fire damage or the water damage after the firefighters were there.
Yeah.
So then he goes to the school, right?
I believe so.
And so, you know, it sounds like he's making really good progress in all of this, but it's been a day and he's made it like across town.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he's just not.
And he has skied before, right? Just not a lot.
Yeah, I think he said him and his dad had done a couple cross-country ski things, because there's something later on about his dad's skis were made for cross-country skiing, and then later on the snow, the ash changes because of the snow, so it's not meant for something. I don't know. But yes, he'd skied once in a while.
Yeah.
Do you remember what happens at the school?
I wish I did, but I've read so many books like this, and they always go to a school.
So he gets to the school, and he goes inside, and they kind of like they give him a little hand broom, and he brushes himself off and stuff, and I gotta think because there's two. I'm trying to think because there's 2 different schools, because there's one later on after he meets Darcy.
Yeah.
Is that her name?
Is it Darla?
Darla. So I think here he ends up spending the night. Yes. He ends up spending the night, and he had found some peanut butter crackers.
I was about to say, I remember peanut butter crackers.
I think he got those at the dojo.
Yeah.
And so when he wakes up in the middle of the night, and there's a little girl trying to steal his crackers, and he about strangles her to death until he realizes that she's a kid, and he lets her go. So then when he wakes up in the morning, like, the school's kind of cool because they have this whole system, like, well, no, this school doesn't. Wrong school. Sorry, guys, because it just happened.
Yeah.
Basically,
aren't they all like in sleeping bags in the gym?
Yeah. So basically, it's like pop a squat and find your spot.
It's like a refugee center when there's like a hurricane or something.
Right. Like there's nothing really.
It's not well organized.
Right. And it's a school, so they don't have a lot of food. They talk about that.
Because I think they even mentioned that they get like food deliveries every week or something, and they don't have.
Yeah.
Like they didn't get their delivery for the week because of the ash and everything. So.
And so he runs into a friend of his. Yeah, is this where he runs into the friend of his, and then the girl? I think so. And the girl tells him she has a way out.
I think so.
Okay, so he runs into one of his friends, and then a girl that they went to school with. And the girl's like, well, we have a way out. We're leaving in the morning. And so he goes with her the next morning, and they go to a church, and they're all up in... I kind of pictured it like the bell tower.
That's what I was going to say, like the belfry.
Yeah. And they're basically the preacher standing up there preaching, and they believe that God's going to come take them, and that's how they're going to get out of...
And so his friend ended up stealing a candy bar from one of the ladies' purses.
Yeah. And so they take off run. Well, 2, because he gives one to Alex.
Yeah. And when Alex says something about, like, I can't believe you did that, he's like, well, they don't need it where they're going.
Which, it's so cool to see the different...
ways of interpreting what happened.
Yeah, like how people would really react.
Yeah,
like I mean, obviously the story's far-fetched, and I shouldn't say that because I don't know if a volcano, like if a super volcano, I don't know how far that would go.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking hundreds of miles, if not thousands of miles.
From what I've read about what he said, it sounds like he researched it really well.
But, we see you've got the guys that, like Joe and Darren, they're just like, we're just going to hunker down and stay in our house. You've got the guys that came in to rob them. You've got the people at the school. You've got the religious people. You've got later on the farmhouses and all this stuff. So you've got all these different groups, and I feel like that's really pretty close to probably how real life would
and
be.
that's one of my favorite things about these kinds of books is seeing the ways different people react, and like because I've read a lot by this point. I've read like Drive by Neil Shusterman, which is about California. I think it's California secedes from the United States and all their water gets shut off.
I love Neil Shusterman. He's one of my favorites.
You should read that one. It's really good. So they're like suffering through a drought, and I've read like the H2O I was talking about. That one has 2 books in it, and like that's another one where I really feel like the author understood how to write a teenage character, because in the book she's naive. She is pretty naive. She trusts people she shouldn't and stuff. And as the reader, you're sitting there like being, why would you trust them? But she's a teenager and she doesn't know better. And so like she trusts these people that are like partying and stuff like that. And so it's just, I like books like this that are well written and they show you how different people would react. And like that book does a really good job of like balancing someone that's like naive, but they're not stupid. She's just not old enough and has dealt with enough stuff in the world to really understand what's happening.
Right. And that's kind of how Alex is. Like, he figures things out as he goes. And I like that.
And he kind of gets...
Oh my gosh, I've been a survivalist.
He matures as you read the books. And you've only read the first one, but he gets more mature, especially by the end of the 3rd book.
Well, I think in this one he did a lot too. But,
yeah.
You know, it's not, you know, you've got those books where it's like, oh my gosh, I just happen to have grown up a survivalist and now I'm...
Yeah.
You know, lost in the middle of the woods.
I feel like I like the Gone series, but there are a lot of times in that where some of the characters do not feel like they're teenagers. It just feels like an adult in a teenager's body. I think a lot of parts are well written, but I think there's also a lot that's... But even in like Gone, there's people react to it different ways even there.
Yeah.
And even like stuff like Left Behind, which I never actually read the main series of Left Behind, but I read like Left Behind Kids or whatever it was, you know what I'm talking about? And like in that book, there's this one guy that ends up like killing himself whenever he's not a kid, he's an adult, but it's like one of the character's uncles, and then you find out it's not actually his uncle. I don't know. I don't remember. It's been way long since I read it. But like after everyone disappears, he kills himself. And like I like seeing different ways that people would react.
Yeah.
And that's like there's one I read, and I don't remember what it's called, but it's about a girl that has epilepsy, and they're in Hawaii, and she's with her dad, but they're on like the farthest island from the island they're actually from, and an EMP goes off all over the world, and so like no power works anymore. So they're trying to get back to the rest of their family on the island that's on the far end. So the book's about them crossing the islands to get there, and I think it's also like a 3-book series. But like that deals a lot with like the dad knows certain things, but sometimes she thinks of stuff he doesn't think of and stuff. And so I like seeing how different how different worldviews and different characters react.
Yeah.
Even The Walking Dead's like that.
Well, and that's kind of like we talked about with Day After Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, it would have been so cool to see other parts of the world and how they reacted to stuff. Not that Day After Tomorrow is one of my favorite movies, but just, you know, there's...
Like, we just saw one group in New York.
And when you see when something like this, you know, that affects the whole country or the whole world, everybody's not going to react the same way.
Yeah, some people hunker down, some people move, some people...
Yeah. So,
some people pillage.
Yeah, some people go to the church and stand on the
Belfry
tower and wait for... And I'm not saying that God can't do that. I'm not at all, but I remembered
that part, and so I was hoping that you would let me talk about that part. So I'm glad you let me say the candy bar thing. But I could not remember if they were just waiting for God or if they actually killed themselves.
No,
because
I know he's up there.
I know, but it's just because I've read so many that they kind of.
Yeah.
Not that any of them are bad, but just when you read so many, they kind of blend together in your head a little bit.
When I was reading it, that's kind of where my mind went. Like, I was thinking Jonestown. Like,
yeah.
That was exactly where my mind went. But
well, that reminds me of, I think it was a short story in the After book, which there's a book called, I think it's called After Stories of the Apocalypse is what it's actually called. But, it's just a bunch of short stories about, like, different kinds of apocalypses and how different people react. And I think it's from that collection, but there's this one story about this girl where she basically finds a cult. Like, it's after the apocalypse, and she finds a cult, and they're, like, dead set on going into space. well, they're not like actually rocket scientists and stuff. So everyone that gets on the ship dies, and she like
Gosh.
barely doesn't get on there at the last second. But like, I love seeing the different ways people react to it.
Yeah.
There's something else.
Said that at the same
Yeah.
time.
There's something else I want to mention when we get to a part, because I don't know if you would have picked up on this, but
So obviously Alex is like, yeah, no, peace out, and he leaves the church,
yeah,
and I don't know if we said this, but he's decided he's going to Illinois to reunite with his mom and dad and his sister. And Illinois is farther away from the volcano, so he's hoping maybe things will be better there.
Where is Yellowstone at?
Wyoming?
Because I genuinely don't know. I think it's across 2 states, at least. But I might be wrong.
West.
Yeah. I just don't know exactly where it's at. But one cool thing about this book is, like, we're from Illinois.
Yeah.
And so even some of the people he runs into in, like, Ohio and stuff, and, like, the small towns and stuff, is very similar to how it is here. Like, I could see different people reacting the same way people in this book act.
Yeah. Wyoming. 3% in Montana and 1% in Idaho.
Yeah. I thought it had multiple states. Because I think, like, when stuff happens there, it's like the you know, like, state parks have their own police and stuff, and it can get messy with that kind of stuff where it's across multiple states. But anyway.
So, not to make the book sound boring, because it's not boring, but the next, I don't know, probably third of the book is him traveling.
Well, doesn't he meet the guy that's shaving? Or is that...
Yes, we'll get there.
Okay.
I think he calls him Target is his name, because he has a target on the back of his head. So, there's not a whole lot that happens in this part. I don't want to say it like that, because there is a lot that happens, but not a lot to focus on. But there's...
Is one of these the part where he runs into... or where he stops at the gas station that's, like, demolished? Or is that not this book?
No, that's this book.
Okay.
So, we're going to touch on a few things that happen in this part, but the majority of this part of the book is he's traveling by himself from Iowa trying to get to Illinois.
Yes.
Very slow going. And like we talked
like we said, it took 1 day from him to get, like, to the school.
Yeah. And it's very, it's getting colder.
Yes.
So, and I think it's like August, beginning of September. I know at one point they mentioned September, so it shouldn't be that cold. Like, we're from this area. We know that in September it gets chilly, but not downright cold.
Not enough to snow.
And so he's got... A lot of this is like him finding places to stay and trying to find food and things like that. So do you want to talk about the gas station?
Yeah, so it's a demolished gas station, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
He's, like, going through the scraps of what's left at the gas station, and all he finds is, like, 2 Starbursts.
And some Skittles out of the package.
Okay, yeah. And he just eats them right there, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, a family, it's like 1 kid and 2 adults, if I remember correctly. And they come along. 2 kids?
No. 1, you're right.
Yeah, I read this in junior high. I don't know why. I remember random stuff.
There's so much that happens in this one book, and I'm like, which, you know.
Well, and there's a lot of...
it's the same scenarios over and over, but there's a lot of similarities sometimes.
Yeah, but there's also a lot of memorable moments throughout the book.
Yeah.
Which it stuck with me a lot. And again, like I said, I think it was like I will always have a soft spot in my heart for Del Toro Quest, because that is the series that really got me into fantasy. Like, I don't know if I'd be into D&D without Del Toro Quest.
I would have leaned more toward... what's the name of that other series? Oh,
Percy Jackson?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's like gods. That's not like classic fantasy type stuff. Because, like, Del Toro Quest deals with, like, dragons and, like, magic. The whole thing in the book is he's trying to remake the Belt of Del Toro, which is, like, 7 magic stones that have different abilities. And, like, the land is ruled by, like, the Shadow Lord and stuff like that. And that is, like, what... And, like, it deals with, like, prophecy stuff and stuff like that. And so that book is really, like, what got me into fantasy. And this book, is kind of really what got me into like excuse me, into like apocalypse and like disaster type books, which are like up there with fantasy as my favorite.
Well, I'm old, so my horror obsession started with Goosebumps.
Well,
Christopher Pike.
Well, Goosebumps is probably where a lot of my horror stuff started, but I mean like this genre.
Yeah.
This was the book that started it for me.
Christopher Pike was a big one too.
I don't even know who that is.
He was... So you had R.L. Stine that wrote like the Goosebumps, and then Christopher Pike was kind of like the junior high-ish level, you know.
See, and
babysitter Home Alone, babysitting the kids, and then gets murdered.
Well, whenever I got older and I got away from Goosebumps, Fear Street, which is also by R.L. Stine, was kind of where...
So kind of along the same thing as Fear Street with Christopher Pike.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that really got me into horror was those weenie stories.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I forgot about that.
Like, there's like road weenies and there was vampire weenies and all that. And every year...
you like the ones that were the combined ones too, like...
Combined ones?
Oh, you know what I was talking about if I could think of the name of one of them.
Probably. Wonkenstein.
There you go.
Creature from My Closet.
Yeah.
But those aren't really horror.
Oh, well, I kind of thought maybe they were.
No, it was just kind of classic book characters mixed together, like Willy Wonka in Frankenstein was the first one, and then it was Chewbacca in Harry Potter. And,
Gotcha. Okay.
And I really did not like how that series ended.
We are way off topic.
We are, but we'll get back to it. But the family comes up, and I don't know if they threaten him exactly, but I think this is the first time he really realizes what is going on. Don't you think? This is like really when it kind of sets in.
Yeah, the dad wants to steal his backpack and go through his backpack, and the mom's like, no, he's just a kid.
Yeah.
And the dad's like, well, we've got our kid.
Yeah.
I really think they might have 2 kids.
They might. But Alex is like I do not have any food on me. And like I think it even describes like how he was licking the inside of the Starburst wrappers.
Yeah. I don't know if we talked about this, but at one point he did get water bottles, I think, from the dojo.
Yeah, I think so.
Or no, they gave them to him at the school because the dojo had been ransacked already. Yeah. Which I thought, back to that, which I know we're skipping backward, but it was kind of cool because he talks about how, like, all the common weapons, like the swords and the nunchucks and that stuff are gone. But nobody knows what the bow staff could do. And, I mean, if it was me and you might know. But, like, if I were to go in there looking for a weapon, I'm probably going to take a sword because I know what that is and I know what I can do it. And I probably couldn't even lift it. But, you know, I know what it's for. You know, I wouldn't think about a stick I could beat people with.
Yeah. I think I would, probably. I mean, obviously from this book, but probably because of Donatello from the Ninja Turtles.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. But, I mean, if you're looking at a stick of wood or a sword, you're probably going to gravitate more toward the sword. So it's kind of cool that that's what was left for him.
I do think if I was in real life, I would want something like a stick. Because that you can use as, like, you can't really use a sword as a walking stick.
Yeah.
But the bow staff you can kind of use as a walking stick, and it's got a lot of versatile use.
Yeah.
And you can even, like, remember that I used to have a staff that we made at Boy Scouts that had, like, it had, like, string on it, and it had, like, a fish hook in the top and stuff, and so, like, it was kind of like an emergency thing.
Yeah. So, yeah, he has the run-in with the family.
And the family does not end up robbing him.
No.
The wife talks the father out of it. But again, that's something that's kind of like The Road.
Yeah. And so I don't want to say the only other thing, because there's a lot that happens, but we'd talk about this book for 10 hours if I kept talking.
Yeah.
We said this once, but I love this book.
It's
love
very,
this
very
story.
good.
And
it does not feel like there's any, like you said, there's a lot that it's just kind of him traveling, but it feels like there's no wasted space.
Right, because there's a lot of it's him, like, figuring out, like, where am I going to sleep, or what am I... But...
Figuring out how to survive.
Right, and so... I got this book from the library, and our library has the other 2, and I was so tempted the other day to go up and get them, and I'm like, no, if I check them out, I'm going to read them. Not that it's a bad thing to read, but I was like, I gotta wait till we record our episode.
So we don't get books mixed up.
And we were supposed to record last night, and then we had tornado warnings, so... But anyway, so the other significant part I want to talk about here is Target.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about Target? Because it seems like you remember him.
You can talk about it, but I have something to say about
Okay.
part of their interaction.
So he's looking for a place to stay. And well, okay, so before Target, there's one thing I want to talk about first. So as he's walking on his journey, he actually ends up finding a farmhouse, and he meets an old man and an old woman, and they let him stay for a couple days. But then the wife's like, she wants him to stay forever. And the husband wakes him up in the middle of the night and is like, you have to go. We don't really have enough food for 2 people, let alone 3. Which he understands, and he's just grateful that they did that. Well, then, if he sees tracks in the ash around the properties, he's not going to them. Well, he goes to walk up to another house, and somebody sticks a shotgun out the window at him. So he's kind of decided that houses are not his thing. And so he's found, I think at one point here, he sleeps in an abandoned car.
Yeah.
Because vehicles don't work now because the ash has gotten into the motors.
Yeah.
And ruined everything.
The intake.
So he sees, at one point in there, he finds because the trees are falling over from the weight of the ash. And so there's a couple times where he actually sleeps in like underneath a fallen over tree, kind of in the canopy part of it. And so he sees this little grove of trees, and he goes over there, and he sees another guy in there. And the guy is shaving his head, and I don't remember what Alex does, but he ends up seeing Alex, and he's like, come hold this mirror for me.
And the guy shaving his head is cooking something over a fire. And Alex can't really tell what it is, but when he tries it, he says it tastes like wild pork.
I wondered if it wasn't human meat.
It is. That's what I was going to tell you.
How do you know?
I don't know for sure, but do you know what they call human meat?
No.
Long pig. Because it tastes like pork.
Oh, I didn't think about that. I did know that, but I didn't think about that.
So, a lot of people think that he tried human meat here, just didn't realize what it was.
I wondered that when I read this part.
And I don't think it's ever been confirmed by the author or anything, but...
Yeah. Huh. I thought the same thing, I just didn't.
Not to be gross or weird, but if I was in a survival situation, there was nothing else to eat, I wouldn't murder someone to eat them, but I would eat someone. Like Donner Party.
My only thing with that is, okay, Donner Party, you knew somebody starved to death, whatever, but like in this situation, what if somebody had, I don't know, malaria, and you ate somebody, you didn't know that they had, I mean, I don't know if malaria is transferable by that.
I don't know.
That was just the first thing that popped in my head. So, anyway, he tells Alex he'll share his food with him if he holds the mirror while he shaves the back of his head.
Is it like an actual mirror?
It was broken pieces.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. And so Alex does it, and he's got a target on the back of his head, and that's where his nickname came from. And so as they're eating, he tells Alex he wants him to be the first member of his gang.
Yeah.
And Alex was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. You remember what happens?
No.
Come on, this is significant.
Well, tell me.
So they end up getting into a physical fight, and Alex is almost winning, and then Target gets him with his hatchet that he was using to shave his head, and he gets him in the side really bad.
Yeah.
And Alex has enough strength to knock him out with the
bow staff.
Bow staff. And I'm so mad at this part because I'm like, he's gonna get an infection, he's gonna die, and then I'm like, well, there's 3 books, so he can't.
You don't know, maybe it follows a different character.
That's true. So, but it's not a Stephen King book, so he can't kill off the main character yet.
Yes.
So anyway, he actually ends up stumbling into a barn
and passes out. And he wakes up on a couch.
Mm-hmm.
With a bedpan, right?
No.
Okay.
They have to figure that out.
Okay.
And so this is where we meet
Darla.
And her mama.
Yep.
And I loved her mama, and I can't remember their last name.
I don't either.
But, he wakes up, and she is getting ready to stitch up his hatchet wound. And so Darla's kind of like, she doesn't want him there. She's like,
Yeah,
we're going to stitch
she's
you up
very
and then
standoffish.
go on your own way. And the mom's like, no, we're not doing that. And so...
And he's a little embarrassed because, like, is he in different clothes?
No, he's naked.
That's what okay. I can't remember if he was in different clothes or if he was naked.
Yeah, because...
But he's embarrassed that Darla saw him.
Right. Well, I feel like to get that spot on, like, to me,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
he's got a flap of
Yeah,
skin
yeah.
hanging down where you really can't... And they tell him that, you know, your clothes were covered in blood, so...
Yeah. And so Darla ends up... He has to pee. And she's like, you can't move, you'll rip your stitches. So she ends up having to hold the bedpan for him while he goes.
Well, she doesn't hold it for him. She gives it to him, and then he makes her turn around.
Okay.
Because he's embarrassed.
I thought she tries to hold it for him and he can't go, so then she gives it to him. Okay.
And so we find out later on that Darla's 18, and so kind of close to his age.
Yeah.
But, so Alex ends up staying with them for a while, and him and Darla kind of get to where they're not. She's not quite as standoffish, but her big thing is they don't have enough food for a third person.
They do have rabbits.
Yeah.
That Darla raises.
Yeah.
And I distinctly remember when she's talking about how to tan hides. And she says you have to mash the brains with water until it looks like a strawberry milkshake.
Ugh.
And then you put it on the hide to tan it.
Yeah. And so when... We don't know this at the time. When he passes out in the barn, he sees them, but he can't figure out what they're doing. And she has rigged up a thing to, like a mill to grind corn with a bicycle and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So she
is really smart.
Is very mechanically inclined, and you find out she learned a lot of it from her dad, who he's passed away prior to the Ashfall. He passed away, but So Alex stays with them for a while. And I thought it was so cool because, I mean, I guess eventually I probably would have thought of it, but they dig under the ash to get the corn they had planted. And I don't know if I would have thought of that early on.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know, a diet of nothing but corn is all that great for you, but at least it's food, I guess.
I mean, they have some rabbit, too. Don't they?
Not very often.
Not very often, but every once in a while.
Yeah. So, this is actually when he's staying at their house when we find out about the silicosis.
Yeah, because there's a part where they take their masks off and they're basically having a snowball fight.
Well, so before that, her rabbits keep getting sick.
Yeah.
And so she tells Alex they need to go to town to the library to see if they can figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
And so as they're going to town, they see all these people working in the fields, kind of doing the same thing they're doing with harvesting the corn and everything. And so when they go to the library, the librarian's actually the one that tells them that. But on the way is when they kind of have an ash ball fight. The snowball fight in the ash.
Don't they end up coughing, though, or something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Alex is kind of off and on, big coughing blood up.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So that's when they find out, like, they need to wear masks when they go outside.
Yes. They end up... I can't remember what it is that they get from the... Oh, they end up getting another pair of skis. They ask the librarian if she has any skis, and they end up having to give her, like, 3 bags of corn and all of this stuff just for the pair of skis, but it's so that Darla can move better.
Yeah. Which I don't think, does the skis she get, they're not cross country, are they?
So her skis actually end up being better than his skis.
That's what I thought.
Except for the boots are too tight. Because when the snow actually falls, she can move and he has to kind of follow in her footsteps. So, if you're a skier, let us know if we're wrong, because I don't know anything about it.
I don't either.
I've never been on a pair of skis.
Me either.
Probably never will be in my life. So do you remember what happens when they go home?
No. I mean, generally, but not.
So, when they get home, they walk in the house, and Mom is on the floor, and she's been beaten, and she's been raped by a guy.
I knew that, but I didn't know if...
And as Alex is fighting him off of her, Target comes in.
Yeah.
And so Alex ends up killing the other guy. No. I'm sorry. Yes. Alex ends up killing the other guy. And they chase Target off with the other guy's gun.
Yeah.
And when he gets back inside, Mom has passed away.
Yeah. Was she shot or was she just beat?
So Target goes to shoot at Alex and misses and shoots her in the head.
Okay, because I was going to say, I thought she got shot in the head at some point.
Yeah. And so Darla is just...
distraught.
Yeah, like she just completely shuts down.
Yeah.
And so when Target's leaving, he tells him, he's like, I will be back for you. Like, this isn't over yet. So, they end up burying Mom.
I was going to say, don't they bury her?
Well, he does, because Darla's not.
Yeah. In shock.
Yeah, so they end up burying her, and then, he's like, we have to do something, because he's going to come back tonight. So they hide in the...
barn?
The hayloft of the barn, and he takes the the grindstone from the thing that she built and takes it up there with them. And so when Target comes in that night, he drops it on his head and kills Target.
Yeah. Which is pretty brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's necessary to survive, but, like, I don't know if I could kill someone. Even if my life was threatened, I don't know if I could bring myself to do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if they were threatening somebody I loved, yes. Like you or your sisters or
yeah.
Aaron.
I don't know. It'd be hard to kill someone.
It would be. I don't know. That's a question I hope I never have to answer.
Yeah. So, they end up... Do they stay? Or do they just end up leaving? After that.
No, they stay for a few days because they end up killing and smoking a rabbit to have rabbit meat.
Yes, they build a smokehouse.
Yeah.
And it really doesn't seem like it's that hard to build a smokehouse.
I would have thought it'd be that easier, but it's also really cold and we don't have, so the meat could stay in there longer.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
What do they end up going back to town for? They go to town.
Is it to go back to the library
No.
for something? I don't know. Do you have any idea?
I can't remember.
Is it super important?
I feel like there was something important that happened there, but I don't remember what it was. Anyway, so they end up having to leave the farm. And she's... Oh, I know what it is. He's going to drop her off at the school. Because this school is the one where they're really organized and they kind of have like a... so he's going to leave Darla at the school because she's still really unresponsive and just...
Yeah.
Kind of... I mean, you said she's in shock, but just very, like, lethargic and...
Yeah.
Like, he has to make her do things.
Yeah.
And so... They go back to town and they actually spend the night at the school, and they're really organized. Like, they have people every day that shovel the ash off the roof, because one thing he noticed before he met Darla was all of these, well, you talked about the gas station, but like all of these places that were collapsing just from the weight of the ash being on there.
Yeah.
And that's probably not a thing where you get 3 feet of snow at one time, but in Illinois and Iowa, it's not. We don't see that.
That's what I was gonna say. It's like whenever, I mean, we have tree snap around here when we have a lot of snow sometimes and stuff, and so.
Yeah.
In the whole, I know we already kind of had this conversation, but like the whole Darla thing where she like goes into shock essentially and is kind of almost catatonic.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the book of World War Z. And in that book, it's written like a documentary kind of thing. And they talk about how during the beginning of the apocalypse, when zombies were first appearing, they saw zombies eating other zombies. So they thought the zombies were attacking each other. But what happened was, there were people that could not deal with like the idea of a zombie apocalypse, and they just snapped and they started acting like zombies, but they weren't actually zombies, and that's who the zombies were attacking. And so that kind of reminded me of this, where it's just kind of like some people can't handle seeing that kind of stuff, and it just makes them snap.
But I mean, really, her mom was the only one she had left. So.
I know. And Darla, spoiler, but she does end up like recovering.
Yeah. So, the school in this town actually had its own water tower. So it had its own water supply, and they're just very organized and very, like, they have a check-in desk and they have, you know, all this stuff. And where the first school was kind of chaos, this one's
Organized.
Yes, but they're like, they actually have beds in there, and they have, you know, all this stuff where it's like more of a permanent, I don't want to say permanent, but more of like a permanent settlement compared to, what do you call it, like a refugee center.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if the other one would have gotten more like that if he had stayed longer.
Probably.
Because this is just longer into the disaster.
I don't know, since they didn't have their own water supply and stuff, I don't know if they would have been able to stay there all that long.
Yeah. Because even, like, I don't think we've mentioned this, but even, like, lakes and stuff has ash in it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at one point, he's so thirsty, he drinks out of a creek, and he says it's just, you know, doesn't do anything for your thirst.
Yeah. So, does this school have a water tower?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I
said.
Did you say that?
One,
okay.
So they're very organized. They're very... I can't remember how they have... So pretty much everybody in town is staying at the school.
Yeah.
And so the corn harvest is pretty much going to the school, and so they have all this stuff. And so Alex, this is told from his point of view, so I have a hard time remembering his name sometimes. Because
that was the first thing I asked you. I said, what is the main character's name? Because I don't remember. Because it's from his point of view.
Yeah.
And, like, I remember Darla's name.
Yeah.
Like, even you, what did you say, Darcy earlier?
Yeah.
Like, Darla, I remember her name because she's brought up so much and that, but Alex's name is, like, rarely said.
So Alex decides when he gets up the next morning that he's going to leave
and head to Illinois
and leave Darla behind. And leave Darla behind because he feels like she would be better taken care of there.
Yeah.
And so he leaves, and I think he gets like a couple miles out of town, and he turns around and Darla's behind him.
Yeah.
And he goes back and he's like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, she says something sweet, but I can't remember what she says. Like, I do better when I'm with you, or something like that. I can't remember exactly what she says. And so he's like, "No, I'm taking you back to the school." And so they go back to the school, and he walks in, and he's just kind of like, "Dang it." So he goes to one of the people, and he's like bargaining to buy a backpack for her.
Yeah.
Because we didn't mention she took one of her rabbits, and she wouldn't leave her rabbit behind.
Yeah. And I think she's just carrying it the whole time.
Which is hard to carry a rabbit and use your ski poles.
And I had not read this book at the time, but now reading it, it makes me think of, is his name Lenny from Of Mice and Men?
Haven't read that one.
You haven't? Mm-hmm. That's crazy. Well, he ends up petting a mouse too and kills it, but at one point he's like petting a rabbit and he accidentally kills it. I think it's a rabbit.
I don't know, I haven't read that one. Maybe
anyway, you should. It's like a classic story.
Well, I know it's classic, I just haven't read it.
Yeah. Well, we reread it in my junior year of high school.
I don't think I knew you read that one.
Actually, I don't think it was even I don't think it was like general English. I think it was that classic and contemporary literature class I took. Anyway.
So he gets a backpack for her to be able to carry the rabbit, and she kind of starts to come out of things now. It takes her a while, but she's actually like, she won't talk to him, but she's kind of starting to, at least she'll walk without him telling her to. And so they're on their way, and then it starts to snow.
Yeah.
And this is when he starts having problems because his skis don't work very well in the snow.
So Darla has to lead, and he follows in her tracks.
Yeah. And so then they get to a spot where there's a big hill, and he takes off in the lead, and he's skiing down the hill, and he doesn't see a guardrail because it's mostly buried, and he ends up in a creek, and he almost drowns.
And doesn't he lose the bow staff?
Yes. And she actually pulls him out of the water by his hair, which I think would hurt so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever you got to do to get him out, but oh, that would hurt. And so he's literally about to freeze to death. It's so cold. And so she ends up setting up camp underneath a bridge.
Yeah.
And I thought this scene was really cool because, of course, at this point they each have a change of clothes. And so she gets him out of his clothes and gets him in his dry clothes and stuff. But when he gets to feeling better, they stay there because this blizzard moves in.
Yeah.
Well, it's blowing through the bridge really bad. And they end up building kind of like an igloo wall over one end. And then they kind of like build off a corner of it, and they have their own little igloo.
Yeah.
And he even talks about how warm it is in there. And I've always wondered, like, I mean, obviously it's warm enough for people to live in, but how is something made of ice warm? Like,
I don't know how it works. Really. But I imagine it has to do with, like, hot air rises and how packed it is.
Well, yeah. Well, and he mentions in there that, like, at one point they had the fire too close to the wall, and so it was starting to melt the ice, but then when they moved it, it would, like, froze back over in a solid sheet. So, but I just thought that was such a cool, creative spot to stay.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just such a cool idea.
This book has a lot of moments like that where it's, like, cool things I would not have thought of.
Yeah. I mean, it's like good survival skills. You know, if you get stuck in a blizzard, just wall yourself under a bridge. I mean, come on. But yeah, it was.
That's what they should have done in Day After Tomorrow.
Right? Oh, it was really cold outside. I don't know if that would have worked.
No, I know, but I mean, they had the fire barrel down there.
That's true. I don't know. It still would have been awfully cold.
I think it's awfully cold in this book too.
But yeah, so I really liked this part of the book just because it's so different. It just. And I've never seen that in like a survival book or movie before where they do something like that.
Well, and I've also never really I've never heard of another book that's about a supervolcano erupting. Mm-mm. And this one's so cool because it's not like he is not like at Yellowstone or anything.
Right.
Like he's so far away and he's still affected.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool.
And it's not like it's not like one of those cheesy sci-fi channel movies where it's like the most absurd, extreme, like out of this world, unrealistic. Like to me, this could happen if like I feel like, and that's why I hadn't taken this book back. And I told you this the other day when we were talking. There's a whole section in the back of this book where he talks about
the realism.
This has never happened when there's been humans on Earth.
Yeah,
but. From my research and looking at Pompeii and looking at all these different places, this is what this is what my research shows.
And isn't it theorized, and I don't know if they talk about it in the book, but isn't it theorized that this is how the dinosaurs could have died out? Isn't this one of the suggestions?
Yeah, I think I've heard that, yeah.
Yeah. With the supervolcanoes going off and causing it to get really cold into an ice age.
Yeah. So, and I know you mentioned this earlier, but just to reiterate, like, part of the reason it's so cold is there's so much ash in the air that sunlight can't really...
So the greenhouse effect is not working.
And then he even talks about, like, I think even still at this point in the book, like, there's not really daylight. It's, like, twilight all day long. Yeah. And then it's dark.
Yeah.
So it's not like you have daylight to
it's like gray and black.
You're working at twilight,
you
know?
Yeah.
So picture, like, 7, 8 o'clock at night... all day long, and then all of a sudden it's just dark.
Yeah. Like gray and black.
But, so, Darla and Alex are actually starting to become friends.
Yeah.
Or maybe more.
I remember the part where they first talk about doing stuff.
Yeah.
Is that later?
I don't remember.
At some point when they're traveling, I don't remember where they're camping, but there's somewhere where they can keep warm, and I think they're sharing a sleeping bag.
It may be here because
It might be.
Might be because they had the tarp that they were using after he got frozen.
But they end up kind of getting on the topic of like sleeping together, and he's afraid to do it because she could get pregnant.
Yeah.
And then she says something along the lines of, "Well, there's things we can do," and unbuckles his belt, and then the chapter ends there.
Yeah.
And then we kind of have a.
Yeah.
You can guess what happened.
Yeah. Right. Which was pretty smart. I mean, for a 15-year-old kid, I think we find out later on we've missed his 16th birthday,
Yeah,
so he's 16 at some point in there. But to not just be thinking with his hormones and be like, we don't want to bring a baby into this right now.
Well, you'll see him not think through hormones in later books too. I'm not going to say anything else, but
You spoil anything.
I didn't spoil anything.
Like that one dude did Divergent.
I'm not going to do that.
I'm gonna poke your eyes out. I used to work in a video store, and Divergent's one of my favorite movie series, and I was talking about it, and this guy came in and ruined the whole ending of the book series for me. I'm so mad. I still haven't read the books because he ruined the ending.
Yeah.
But now I have to read them since she's coming out with a new series.
Well, and I don't know if it's right there that they mentioned it, but at some point they talk about how they'll keep an eye out for condoms as they're looking for food and stuff from now on.
Yeah, so they talk about like antibiotics and this kind of medicine stuff and like kind of a list of what they need to keep their eye out for. And I think he kind of like shyly says something about condoms.
That's another thing. He's kind of he can deal with survival stuff, but I don't think he's the most socially active person.
I don't think so either.
Like, I don't think he's that. Like, he gets embarrassed a lot whenever he's talking to people, and like, I don't.
But you were a 15-year-old boy too.
Yeah.
You know that's just an awkward age, and like.
Well, I'm also in general not the best socially.
I was talking about that at work yesterday about me. I'm like, no, I'm good. Like, you go do your social thing and leave me alone.
Well, like when I'm in public, most of the time I have earbuds in because I don't want to talk to people most of the time. If I don't know you, I don't really want to talk to you.
That's exactly what I said yesterday. I said, I've got my circle and that's fine. Anyway, back to Ashfall. So, they stay there like 3 or 4 days because of this blizzard. And so, but they end up, at one point, they end up getting turned around. Yeah. And so he has this road in his mind. They have to get to this road.
Is it in this book they get hypothermia, or am I thinking of a completely different series?
Not in this book so far.
Okay. So far.
Well, I don't know what happens in 2 and 3.
Well, you said this book.
Well, I meant this series.
I know. I'm just being a stinker.
Like always.
Ain't I a stinker?
So they end up having to backtrack. I don't know, like a day or two to get back to where they were supposed to be.
Is it because they got off course, or was it because that bridge was out?
We're not to the bridge being out.
Okay.
I don't think. And I don't think the bridge was actually out.
You think it was guarded?
We'll get there.
Okay.
So, the whole thing is he knows the way to get to his uncle's house from these roads that they traveled.
Yeah.
And so they end up. Who ends up telling him about the town being... Maybe it was at the school before they left. The place they're going to cross the... Bless you. Mississippi?
Yeah.
Mississippi River?
You should know that. We live in Illinois. You look confused.
Is that the Mississippi River?
That runs along Illinois?
Over there? By St. Louis?
Yeah.
Is that Mississippi?
Yeah.
No. Is it really?
Isn't it?
I thought it was the Missouri.
Pretty sure. I'll look, but... So what happens here? What about the town?
So, it must have been back at the school or something. I don't know.
Yep.
Anyway.
It's the Mississippi that runs.
Well, I've crossed that river a couple times and didn't even realize it. Anyway.
Wait. Is he coming from Ohio?
No, Iowa.
Iowa. Then yeah, it would be the Mississippi. Anyway.
At some point, somebody warns them about the town that they're going to go through to cross the river. And so they've already got that in their head. Well, then as they're going, they're walking on the road and they see other people coming toward them. And they're kind of, they were going to hide, but they'd already seen each other. And it ends up being a mom and 3 kids. And there's the mom and 1 daughter is walking. There's 2 kids on the sled. And she kind of freaks out. The mom kind of freaks out when they get close. Well, the girl that's walking, I think they say she's probably like 6, has hypothermia really bad. Her fingers are black.
Yeah.
She's just not in good health. And so Alex goes to help her, and the mom
Are they even wearing masks?
I think the mom and the 2 younger kids are, but I don't think the girl is. And so the mom kind of freaks out, and she's like, don't hurt her, don't hurt us and stuff. And so he's like, I just want to help. And so she ends up telling them that the town, well, so Alex ends up taking the older girl, and Darla climbs breaks out the window of an SUV and crawls in there and starts a fire so that she can get warmed up. And so Alex is like, I'm taking her in there. You guys can come or not, but we're going to see what we can do to save her life. Well, so when the mom gets in there, she tells them that they got ambushed in this town and they killed the dad. And she actually saw them cooking him.
Yeah.
And this is the town that they're supposed to be going through to cross the river. So the mom actually ends up bringing the other 2 kids inside, and they share. They have dinner. They eat together. Well, the daughter ends up passing away overnight, and Alex is the only one who's awake and sees her pass away. So he goes out to bury her, and this part was so heartbreaking. He goes out to bury her, and he can't dig.
The ground is too hard.
Yeah, like he can get through the snow and the ash, but he can't get her underground. So he just kind of puts her there, and then puts the ash and snow back on top of her.
And I will say, I don't know if we ever said this. He describes, as he's talking about the snow this whole time, it's like gray because it's got the ash in it.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's really like they could just melt the snow and drink that or anything.
Right.
Like it's ruined too.
Yeah.
Because I think, the ash is in the air.
Yeah.
And so, even when it's coming down from the clouds, it's already tainted.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. But I think they use his toilet trick a couple more times throughout the book. Like the toilet tank thing to keep their water bottles full.
Yeah. Well, because he mentions, like, no one ever thinks about it.
Yeah. So, when Mom and her other 2 kids leave, Alex gives them like 3 bags of their corn and all of this stuff. Yeah. And Darla gets mad.
Does he give them some of the smoked rabbit, or do they? Yeah.
And at some point in there, no, not the smoked rabbit. At some point in there, they smoked a hog. Remember, they
find a wild hog in the woods.
No,
I thought so.
No, it was a farm.
Okay.
And they went to open the barn door because there weren't any footprints, and something slammed the door shut. And when they go in,
is that where the farmer was?
Yeah, the farmer had been eaten, and there was, I think, 1 hog left alive, and 2 hogs left alive, and they ended up. And this is when they built the smokehouse.
Yeah, when they're talking about this farmer they found, they say it looks like he tripped and broke his ankle, I think, and it must have been early on, whenever the ash first started to fall. And so he couldn't move or anything. He couldn't go anywhere. So he passed away, and the pigs ate him.
Yeah, which is not surprising for pigs. I mean, I just read a short story the other day where his cats ate him.
What am I thinking of where they find a wild pig in the woods? Is that not in this book?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Not so far. Not in this book.
It must be some other book I'm thinking of.
So he gives them a lot of the hog meat. Obviously, they couldn't take the whole pig with them, so, I mean, they had to limit what they could take. But he gives the mom and the 2 kids pig meat,
and doesn't he tell them about the school?
Yeah. And so of course, Darla's mad. She's like, you just gave away all of our food, and then what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Because we can't go through this town, and so it's 30 more miles to the next bridge.
And I don't think he realized it was that far to the next bridge.
I think, again, he's naive, and he's so, like,
Yeah.
he's looking at those two little kids that just lost their dad and their sister, and he's like, how can we help? And this is a big way we can help. And I also think you're right, because I think he was thinking we're going to cross the bridge and be close to my uncle's house, so it's not that big of a deal.
Well, and, like, she says the 30-mile thing. I think even if he was thinking about the fact that they wouldn't be able to cross that bridge, he figured there was another one closer than that.
Yeah. But, I mean, look at the river close to us. You have to go... I mean...
I know, but I'm saying I don't think he would have thought
No,
that.
I know, but I'm just saying it's feasible, because we've got one right here, but then you have to go either probably about 30 miles.
Yeah.
Or 30 miles either way, probably, to get across. So he's like, he's apologizing, and he's like, is it there?
You could take the train bridge.
Do you want to make it across there or not? Because I'm not sure.
Anyway. They did it in Polar Express.
In their rubber boots.
Yep. Billy.
But that was also at the North Pole. And I don't think
know.
anything bad's going to happen at the North Pole.
And that isn't old. I mean, it may have been old, but it was up.
Right. So she's really mad at him, and they're kind of bickering back and forth, and he's like, isn't there another way? And she said, there's the locks. And so, do you want to explain what that means? Do you know what that means?
Vaguely.
Go ahead and I'll correct you.
Well, you can
go ahead and I'll add to it. I've talked a lot, so go ahead.
I know you have. Just you talk, because I'll talk more later.
So, there's parts on rivers where they will close these locks and they will flood them to raise the water level up, to raise boats up, to raise ships up.
Yeah.
So picture from the top of the bank of the river to the river level is, say, 30 feet. Well, they can close these locks and trap water in there to raise the boat.
See, and that's what I remembered. I remembered that they could close off and it build water up, but I didn't remember why.
Yeah. And so she's like, well, there's the locks, but there's probably no way to get across them.
Yeah.
So they're like, well, we're going to try for that. We're not going to go through the city where they're, eating people. And so when they happen to get to the locks, there's 9 ships that are chained together that are stuck in the locks.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how big of an area, like, I don't know
how wide.
Yeah, like, I don't know how long pieces of the river there are on this.
Yeah.
But I mean, if it's 9
boats,
9 ships, they're pretty. I mean, it's got to be pretty big.
Yeah. Well, and I've been there before, but I don't know if I've ever really paid attention to the Mississippi River.
It's pretty wide.
Yeah, but where we see it at, because we've seen it more near Missouri, like St. Louis area, it is wider there than it would be in Iowa, because the river gets wider the farther down you're in, because it has more feeding into it.
That's true.
But I'm sure it's still pretty wide.
Yeah. So they figure out they're going to try to climb across these 9 boats, 9 ships to get to the other side. Do you want to talk?
I don't remember this part. I remember the
so
boats.
as they're going across these boats, they're like, this might be a good spot to spend the night or stay for a couple days, or just kind of catch up and be somewhere kind of warm. And so when they open the hatch on one of the boats, it's full to the top of wheat.
Yep. I do remember that, actually.
And I think they actually do end up staying a couple days, and they eat some wheat, because you have to
grind it.
Thank you. I was like sitting here like pounding the wheat out.
Yeah. You were like mortar and pedestal with it.
That's what I'm gonna do with my wheat. So they get across the river, and then They're shocked when they get across the river because the roads in Illinois are clean.
Yeah.
The road's been scraped. Everything looks really good. And then what happens? You don't remember. A truck pulls up.
And is it military?
I don't think it was a military truck.
Okay.
But it's soldiers that get out.
Yeah.
And they,
That's what I meant, was it... I meant, like, was it military people?
Yeah. So they put Alex and Darla in the back of the truck, and they're like,
Yeah.
wait, you're going the wrong way. And they're like, no, we gotta make our rounds and pick up other people.
And I don't know... I can't remember if they actually, like, explain how the truck works or not, but... You said that later on with a different vehicle they talk about how they're using pieces from other ones to fix this one up. But I can't remember if it's because, like, if the truck works because it's older, or if they made a filtration system, or if it's just the same thing where they're putting new parts on it whenever they can.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah. But they get taken to, like, a refugee camp eventually. And do you want to talk about the...
It's horrible. It's
Yeah.
awful conditions.
They get separated, don't they? Okay.
No.
That's
They,
a different one then.
They go in, and he tells them, he's like, I'm just trying to get to my uncle's house in Illinois. And the guy tells them that, they publish a list of everybody in the camp every so often. And so if his uncle sees it, then they can come claim him. But they never take their names, so...
Yeah.
Which they talk about later on. But everybody gets one... I'm picturing like the little Dixie cups that we used to use when you brushed your teeth.
Yeah, that's what I...
Full of rice every day, and that's all you get for food.
Which has no nutrients.
The bathroom is just this long trench that's dug, and you just kind of go to the bathroom in front of everybody else.
Yeah.
They have tents, but there's not enough tents for all the people that are in there. And so... the first night, they actually just end up sleeping outside, but then something happens, and Alex ends up punching one of the guards in the face. No, that's later on. Something happens, and he ends up... Somehow they figure out that he can fight, and so these people are like, you can have a 6-foot by 8-inch spot in our tent if you stand guard.
Yeah.
And so that's what they end up doing.
And in the camp, is it that you can, like, kind of volunteer for work? Is that what it is?
How she gets the job?
Yeah.
No, she just, she's asking questions all the time, and then he's like, hey, you want to, like, the guy that she's talking to, the mechanic that she's talking to is like, hey, I need your help. And so they pull her out.
Yeah. Because like we said, she's mechanically inclined earlier.
Yeah.
And so she ends up in a bulldozer, right? Or not a bulldozer, like a backhoe, right?
So she works in there for a while, just like helping him
fix stuff up.
Yeah. Well, then this is where something happens, and Alex gets mad and he punches one of the guards. And so they put him in a punishment hut. And it's basically this area that's like 4x4 where he can't even stretch out. He can't stand up. They don't bring him water. They don't bring him food. Nothing. Nothing. And so basically...
It's like solitary confinement without food.
Yeah.
Or water.
So it's basically like they put you in there to kill you.
Yeah.
And so then you can talk about the bulldozer.
Is it a backhoe? Is that what it is?
I think so.
So... I don't know. Does she just come over and get him, or how does that work out? Because I know she ends up getting in it, and she crashes through the fence. And they talk about how it moves faster backwards than it can go forwards.
Yeah.
But it still can't go very fast. So they end up...
One thing we forgot to mention, I was just flipping through here to see what she was driving, but one thing we forgot to mention that was when they get to camp, her rabbit's still alive, and they shoot her rabbit.
Yeah.
It's a bulldozer.
Do they take their stuff?
Mm-hmm. They can keep their extra clothes and their water bottles and their tarp.
But she ends up getting him somehow. I don't know if she just comes and gets him or what. Or
No,
is it like a box?
No, she lifts the whole thing off the ground and gets him
Okay.
out.
Well, they end up going through the fence, and it gets stuck, right?
Mm-mm.
Then what happens? Because I'm misremembering.
Well, they knock down the fence, and
Yeah.
so all the refugees all the other people are escaping, and so they go through the woods and they go all these they get kind of far away, and then they crash into a muddy hill and it gets stuck.
Yeah, that's what I was.
I thought you meant stuck on the fence.
No. I meant yeah. So then they get out and they're on foot again. Because they don't have their skis anymore, right? Because those got taken. Or did they even bring them across the? Did they bring them across the boats?
No, well, I don't know about hers, but they lost his when he fell in the river.
Okay.
Creek.
Yeah, because didn't he have to stand on the back of hers or?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, so they end up getting out, and then do they just end up at the uncle's? Or how does that end up shaking out?
So, they don't need their skis because the roads are clear.
Yeah.
But yeah, they end up making it to the uncle's house.
Yeah. Do they make it into town first and then make it to the uncle's, or do they make it to the uncle's first? Cause
I don't remember them talking about being in town,
okay.
but they might have.
But after they're at the uncle's, is it that they have figured out the only thing they can grow is kale?
Mm-hmm.
So
the greenhouses.
yes, they have greenhouses, and there's not much sunlight coming through. But they figured out that kale will grow, and it's like the only thing that will grow. So they've been living basically off of kale, and that's it.
And so it's aunt, uncle,
Cousin?
two cousins. There's two
so.
cousins, and then Alex's sister.
Yeah.
And we find out at this point that Alex's mom and dad are not there.
They left to go find Alex.
Yes.
And another thing I want to mention is that kind of goes back to something earlier. Here, Darla talks, because Alex is kind of like scared to do it, but Darla talks Alex into asking the uncle for condoms.
No.
What?
They want to sleep together in the same bed.
Okay.
And the uncle's like, yeah, no, we're not doing that.
Okay.
So they actually sneak out at nighttime and sleep together on the couch, and then they get up and go back to their rooms in the morning. When the uncle catches them, he gets mad at first, but then he actually just gives condoms to Alex.
Okay, that's what it is. The thing he's embarrassed about is Darla asks him to ask his uncle if they can reuse them. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's kind of disgusted by that idea, but he's like, I'll ask.
Because they actually use one. The first night they sleep in the same room together.
But they end up going into town. And I don't remember if there's a particular reason why. Right? Or am I wrong?
They go into town to get the doctor after the uncle breaks his leg.
That's what it is. And while they're there...
So, hang on. Back up.
Okay.
So, Uncle is fixing a hole in the greenhouse roof, and
Does he fall through?
Slips, and his leg gets caught between the ladder and, like, the rung of the... Not the rung, but, like, the metal support of the greenhouse, and it snaps his leg.
Okay. So they go in town to get the doctor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And while they're in there, he's with another patient, and he gives them a bag of Fruit Loops.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't know they're Fruit Loops at first, but Alex is like, were those Fruit Loops? And the doctor is like, yeah, everyone's getting scurvy because all we have is pork.
Yeah.
And the whole town has basically just been living off pigs that are on a farm out there. Yeah. And so, does he mention the kale here? Or is it not? I mean, it doesn't really matter. But they bring him out to check out the uncle, don't they? Because they didn't bring the uncle in.
Right.
And then they end
up...
up...
The whole scurvy thing is funny because Fruit Loops has a high amount of
vitamin C
in them. And so that's why he said they had run out of whatever. He said, not usually, but when he asks about... Because Alex says something about, is it normal for you to prescribe Fruit Loops? And he's like, not normally, but we ran out of whatever the other cereal was that he'd been giving him.
Yeah. So when he gets there, I think it's the doctor mentions, like, oh, kale has a lot of vitamin C in it. Like, it's basically all vitamin C. And so they end up striking a deal with the doctor, I think both to fix the uncle's leg, but also to get some pork from the town. Mm-hmm. And so they give him...
They pay the doctor with like 3 bags of kale to fix the leg.
Yeah. And then they end up making some kind of deal where they get like a whole pig for...
They actually go back to town with the doctor, and it's whatever Darla and Alex can carry back to the farm.
Yeah.
Like, he loads them up with pork.
Yeah. And so they have pork now, so that's kind of a good thing. But one thing I wanted to mention here that you told me I should mention during the episode, ever since I read this book, I've been so scared that I would get scurvy. And I know it's an irrational fear and it's really dumb, but it scares me.
I think it's cute.
So like at least once a month, I make sure I eat like a bowl of Fruity Pebbles or something. Which it's funny that I do that because like, even like when I was living here, I take a multivitamin.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like I don't get vitamin C.
Right.
But it just freaks me out. And ever since I read that book, I like Fruity Pebbles or Fruit Loops or something, I gotta eat a bowl of like once a month.
It's silly. I love it though. It's so cute. It's funny. Now, we live in Illinois where vitamin C is an issue in the winter time. No, that's vitamin D. That's vitamin D. Never mind. But you eat a good enough diet. I don't think you have to worry about scurvy. But I still think it's funny.
And I take a multivitamin, so it's not like I'm like.
Yeah. So, we're pretty much close to the end of the book.
Yeah.
Of course, Alex is still determined that he's going to go find his parents.
Yeah.
And they convince him to stay because we don't know how long winter is going to last.
And his aunt and uncle are like, if your parents go to find you not there, they're most likely going to come back here.
Right. Right. But I'm like, the whole time he gets there and their parents aren't there, I'm like, what the heck if his parents were in that same camp they were in?
Oh,
but I don't know if... My understanding was they weren't keeping people from Illinois. Like, it was only if you were crossing into Illinois.
Yeah.
Because they called Iowa, like, a red zone.
Yeah.
And so, but it was really... that whole part was really sad, though, because, you know, you think of FEMA and you think of, you know, aid, and you think they're going to help you, and it's just like they didn't do anything to help these poor people.
Yeah. Well, it makes me... Now... I hadn't seen this at the time, but it makes me think of that one Purge movie, Forever Purge, where Texas secedes from the United States and won't let purgers in and is like killing them at the border. That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, it was really disturbing. And I mean, it was written in 2010, so that was 16 years ago, and still it's like
relevant.
You know, like I can't imagine. I mean, because well, we mentioned, like, they get a cup of rice. Well, the kids could go stand in line and get extra food, but they would run out, like, the first 100 kids.
Yeah.
So, and it was aid from, and we didn't talk about this, it was aid from a church, and Alex and Darla even tell them about the wheat.
Yeah.
And they're like, you need to tell the captain about that. Well, so the captain's like... They never hear anything about it. Well, then a little bit later on, he tells them that it belongs to Cargill, I think it was. One of the big seed
companies.
Farming companies. And that they were to protect it until they could get there to get their wheat back. And I'm like... Which to me says the soldiers are probably eating that wheat.
Yeah.
And
well,
so,
that's like, that reminds me of like, during World War I, they told people, hey, like people in Europe, hey, you guys aren't going to get very good food. Like, food's going to be pretty scarce. That's what you have to do for the war effort because we're sending the soldiers the best of the best on the front lines. And the soldiers on the front lines were getting like one piece of stale bread and stuff. And so the government was lying and just saying, hey, you're not going to have good food because we're giving it to the soldiers, but the soldiers weren't actually getting good food.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say the camp scene was probably the scene that bothered me the most because you think they're going to help you and then they don't.
Yeah.
So,
there's a lot of impactful scenes throughout all 3 books.
And so I'm assuming that book 2, they're going to go try to find his parents.
And I'm not saying anything.
You had mentioned the other series that I'm assuming that's what happened because of what you said.
What?
Because you said the Antipodes series.
Yeah.
Antipodes series is fantastic. It's not horror, but I got really annoyed with that series because he'd go save her and they'd be good, and then she'd take off to go do something, so he'd have to go save her, and I'm like, just stay put, just stay together. And you mentioned that this was kind of like that, so
kind of. You'll see what I mean whenever we get to the later books.
Overall, this is probably one of my favorite post-apocalyptic books I've read.
And there's also a book called Darla's Story that's shorter than these three. And I have not read it, but I believe it covers from when the apocalypse happens to when she meets Alex.
Really?
Yes. And when it first came out, it was like a Kindle exclusive.
Oh, wow.
But they have a physical book now, and our library has it.
Really?
Yes.
I'm gonna have to order that one.
And I think it's considered like 1.5 or something. Like it's not listed as like the fourth book. It might be number 4 or something, but I'm pretty sure it's like 0.5.
Oh, I have a late book.
But so, what was your opinion of this book overall?
I loved it. 4 stars overall.
4?
Mm-hmm.
Out of 5?
Mm-hmm.
Why 4?
Because there's 2 more books to go, so I don't know how it ends.
Oh. Well, as someone that's read all 3, I'd probably give it like 4.5 or something stars. Like, I don't think it's terrible. Like, I love this series, but I mean, there's certain things in it that aren't bad necessarily, but I like the same kind of thing you had with Antipodes, where it's like, oh, they're going to look for them. It's kind of that I'm docking it like half a point for that.
Right.
But overall, it's probably one of my favorite series of all time, and it's what got me into like post-apocalyptic horror and like disaster horror.
I thought there were 3 books.
There is. Is there not?
Ashfall and Ash and Winter, and then Darla's Story.
Maybe there is only a second book. I had it in my head there was 3, but that might just be because I've read so many trilogies. Were you looking on Goodreads?
No, I was looking on our library website. There's a 3rd one.
Okay.
It's called Sunrise.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought there was 3. But I think you need to read the next 2, and then we should cover them on a podcast.
We'll see how I like them.
Okay. Well, anything else you want to say before we...
So next week we are starting our serial killer week or month. Our first movie is Seven. And then...
Or Seven in, as some people say.
And then my daughter, Dawson's sister, asked us to do 2 episodes of Criminal Minds.
The Tall Man.
And?
I don't know. I was waiting for you. I thought you had it pulled up.
No, I was ordering my books.
But they're 2 episodes...
Mr. Scratch.
They're 2 episodes that were written by Matthew Gray Gubler, who plays Reed in that show.
Okay.
Or written, directed...
So we may have a special guest for that episode, because she said she might join us, so...
She said she would, but then she kind of backtracked, so we'll see.
So, yeah, stay tuned. And we're also doing... We've got 7, and then those 2, and then Donnie Darko.
I thought we were doing that one for psychological.
Oh, sorry. Wrong group. I'll let you know next week what else we're doing.
Yep. I think... Are we doing Silence of the Lambs?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I don't know what our serial killer book is, so...
Yeah, so we'll let you know whenever we figure it out.
Yeah, so have a good one.